In this episode of Rooted in Retail, we are talking all things pop up shops, pop in shops, and I think that there is a massive opportunity to do a pop up or do a pop in and have a whole new stream to your business and test different lines and locations. And it's a great way to get started if you're a brand new retailer. You're going to learn all about it today in this episode with my guest, Allison Yee, the founder of UpNext. If you listen to this episode and you take action and you set up a pop-up, you've got to take a picture and post it in our Rooted in Retail Facebook group or tag me and Allison on Instagram because I want to see what you create. If you're already doing pop-ups or pop-ins, I want to see what you're doing. Post it in our Facebook group for Rooted in Retail or tag on Instagram because again, when we hung up with Allison after this interview, I was like, Allison, I feel like I want to go create a pop-up now. Like I'm so inspired. It seems like such an incredible opportunity. So I hope that you see that too in today's episode. Before we dive in, here's a little bit more about my guest. As the founder and CEO of UpNext, Allison is passionate about helping create a world where entrepreneurs can make big waves while taking small risks. She leads the charge in guiding founders through the pop-up experience and helps municipalities and developers reimagine retail through innovative and collaborative projects. You can learn more and check out additional training that Allison and her team has at poppingupnext.com and thepopupplaybook.com. Get ready for an awesome, creative, fun conversation with Allison. Let's dive in. Welcome to Rooted in Retail. I'm your host, Crystal Vilkaitis. Here we have engaging and informative conversations with successful indie retailers and industry experts. Together, we learn, connect, and grow. Don't miss our live after the show every Tuesday night in the Rooted in Retail Facebook group. All right, here's today's episode. Allison, welcome to Rooted in Retail. I'm thrilled you're here.
Thank you so much for having me, Crystal. I'm excited to dive in.
Yeah, me too. So this is going to be a special episode because we've talked about pop-ups before on the show, but just as it's an option, it's a strategy, it's something you could do, but we haven't gone deep on it. And there's a lot of benefits. There are, I'm sure, keys to being successful and things to look out for. So we're going to hear from you. You are the expert. But before we dive in, will you share and take a couple minutes about you and your retail experience?
Sure, absolutely. So in present day, I'm the founder and CEO of a company called UpNext, and we help other brands, emerging brands, do pop-ups and test out retail in short-term format. But my retail roots go deep. I have been in this world from basically every facet you can imagine, going back to high school and college days, working in retail and hospitality, and then post-college going into buying, working for corporations large and small. And then I went into retail real estate development. So I got to see sort of the mall lifestyle center perspective and how the process works, bringing in an independent retailer, a national retailer, going through that whole process. And then I dove into pop-ups. So I got my feet wet in the industry before it was a household term. People thought of pop-ups very differently 10 plus years ago. So that is just an overview, but I have loved retail and been passionate about it my entire life. And I just love to be evolving with this unique industry.
That is awesome. You are super rooted in retail, which I love. And that means that you're bringing a lot to what you're doing today and to our retailers. Now, let's break it down. Let's start there. Explain what a pop-up and a pop-in are and why should retailers be considering doing them?
Sure. So a pop-up, by our definition at UpNext anyhow, is a short-term retail experience, anything from a day or a weekend all the way up to a year. After a year, we consider that a permanent storefront. And a pop-in is a variation on that, and it's gaining popularity, but essentially a pop-in is taking an existing retail presence, an existing storefront, and hosting a mix of pop-ups within that space. So someone then pops into your space, sort of what used to be referred to as a trunk show, but the possibilities have grown dramatically over the past few years. So let me dig in a little bit into the reasons behind why a brand, a retailer, an entrepreneur might be considering a pop up because there are quite a few. A pop up is not one size fits all. There are very short term ones. It might be a transition from markets into a week long pop up, a mobile space, something that can be popped up in a public sphere for a short amount of time, or an inline vacancy that you're filling for a season and testing out, trying out a new market, trying out new partnerships and collaborators, testing or launching a new concept. So the list really goes on, but the underlying root of it is flexibility, taking a low risk approach to retail so that you can decide what you want your next move to be. How can I not liquidate my savings? How can I not have to take out a new mortgage in order to sign a long term lease? So we're really all about hedging risk and thinking creatively as you approach a retail opportunity. And that's what's so beautiful about pop ups. There's no rules. You can do this with collaborators. You can do this on your own. You can do this under a different brand name. You can have an existing shop and open a satellite location. There's just a lot of different ways to approach it. So I encourage anyone at any stage of growth in their business to really consider the possibilities.
Yeah, I feel like our listeners' wheels are probably turning right now because to your point, there's so many options, so many things that they can be doing and adding. And I love that you said there's no rules. It allows that to be flexible and feel easy for our retailers to get into. And these options of testing, like I love testing before really committing fully to something. So there's so many options. We're going to talk about how to set it up successfully in those pitfalls. But before we do, as I was prepping for this interview, I learned towns are getting involved and there's some support that you can have. So how are municipalities collaborating with brands and developers for pop ups?
So I would say this is one of the silver linings of the pandemic. In 2020, 2021, we were looking at so many vacancies. Unfortunately, many businesses had to close. A lot of downtowns were a shadow of what they used to be. So, around the greater Boston area where UpNext is based, we partnered directly with municipalities and started launching incubator storefronts, retail incubators. We're under the name Project Pop Up, but essentially taking these storefronts and creating turnkey environments for brands to test out what it means to run a store day to day. And so while the storefront remains the same, the pop up or the retailer is rotating seasonally. That's how we've set it up here. And we've seen a ripple effect. We've seen a ton of interesting new collaborations between municipalities and chambers or other organizers all around the country and beyond that are taking a similar approach. So they may have a whole main street full of vacancies where they're then opening up this rent at a more accessible rate. A lot of the work is grant funded. So there's this stipend layer of support that you wouldn't have otherwise. And so going directly to your city or town's economic development director or the small business team, whoever they have on their administration, is a perfect first step. And finding out if this opportunity exists. If it doesn't, are there any ways they can connect you with landlords who might be sitting on spaces that are more forward thinking? Because not every landlord is receptive to this, but the ones that are really get it. So just having an initial conversation and realizing that municipalities have been forced to think differently about how they partner with entrepreneurs and with storefront owners, with landlords.
Yeah. And you're so right. So much change with COVID. And through situations like that, innovation can happen. And there was this big question mark about what's going to happen with commercial space. I mean, that was like, there was a lot of stress around that. And now seeing these types of options and creative thinking, like you said, is really inspiring. It's really fun and it creates that innovation in the retail sector. So I love that. I think that's a great call to action for anybody listening to this. Check in your local economic development community director. What can they do for you? What options are available? There might be some really amazing options. Okay, so let's break it down. How can a retailer, if they are thinking about doing a pop-up or they have one coming up, how can they really plan and execute this to create just a really successful experience?
There are so many factors that go into it, but if you already have a little bit of context as a retailer, that's always helpful. It's not essential because you're doing this as a test, right? So you're getting the chance to experiment. But I like to think of it as a full sensory experience. So this applies to long-term retail as well, but even short-term, you have this limited window of time to have high impact. What are all of the different levers that you can pull? What is the best location that you can afford where your customer is? What types of collaborations can you build in? How can you make anyone coming through the door feel extremely welcome and learn your story? So it's all about building connection, whether you end up staying in that storefront long term or taking that list of new followers and supporters with you into your next endeavor or back to your home location or back online. You are basically building an experience for a short amount of time and thinking about every possible facet and partner you can pull in. This is your chance to really, we say all the time, give people a sense of FOMO. It is a short term commitment, so you have to make every day count.
Yeah, no kidding. And you brought up a really important point there of taking your social media followers, your list, like I would imagine really focusing on capturing their information while they're in your store. Grow that list so then you can stay in touch with them. And yes, social media, but also that email address or the cell
Yes,
phone number. Like, I feel like a lot of retailers are happy to share their Instagram account, but it's like, get that email too because they might not see what you're posting. These algorithms are tricky. So build that list. Those are great tips all about that experience. Create the FOMO. I love it. And it's such a fun thing. I really hope that some of our listeners are thinking about their business differently. What if you did do a pop up? And how does that look for your store? It gives you this whole new, fresh experience, something fun for your current customers to experience, something for new people to discover you. You can partner and get some good press out of this, I'm sure, too.
yes.
And then that's a whole nother side of it of just growing the brand and getting your name out there. So I just see so many advantages to this.
It's really true, Crystal. There's so many different types of entrepreneurs that are doing pop-ups, but depending on your lens or where you are with your business, it's just this amazing kind of reset because you are getting this fresh start. So
Yep.
whether you're feeling a little bit fatigued by running the day-to-day of your shop and you just want to get out in front of a fresh new audience, new eyes, new people to connect with, new feedback, or maybe you're a gift shop and you do just a pocket of the products, like a particular niche, you have the freedom to do that. You can try something totally different, but under the same umbrella, do an annex shop and just play with it. And it can be really creatively inspiring. It can be that breath of fresh air that you need to then infuse a new perspective back into your current business or to start doing it seasonally. It'll give you so much more reach. You can get out there into a completely new market. A lot of retailers are, of course, omni-channel now. So you can reach a customer that's going to end up shopping through your online store going forward, or maybe they'll make a special trip if you're in a different area. But it just ends up having this really transformative effect. It's hard to put your finger on it because there's so many factors, but we hear
Yeah.
it again and again from the founders we work with that it's just this incredible feeling where you come away from the experience with something typically very different than you expect going in, but all the better. New opportunities, new doors opening.
Yeah, and all that experience that you're gaining too by doing it. I feel like, our retailers were their business owners and that whole bright shiny object syndrome that happens to us all, that sometimes will happen because we're bored. And if any of you are creating some problems and getting into things because you're bored, I think this could be a really productive, fun thing for you to get into. Our retailers are so creative. This sounds like a really fun creative outlet. So I love it. And I'm so glad you're here to break it down for us. So, what about the pitfalls that they should avoid? What are some of those common mistakes that you've seen so we can give a heads up to anybody planning their pop up?
So I would say one of the biggest ones, and we cover this in our course, we have a whole comprehensive playbook for what's involved with launching a pop up, but it's having that mentality of if we build it, they will come. So not putting all of the depth of marketing and partnership and PR building into it and basing it solely on the location, looking for that organic traffic. And I know that ties back to traditional retail too, but there are some really unique ways that you can approach a pop up that solve for that. So, for example, if you pick a location that's off the beaten path because the rent is lower, but you really want that gem of a storefront and, the hustle and bustle of your main street, in a pop up, collaborations are really common. So, working with other retailers, working with other founders or brands, doing a partnership with someone that you carry in the shop who wants to have a larger retail presence, looking at services or someone with an overlapping target market, just thinking with a unique perspective about if you could start from scratch, if you could have any dream partners that you want, where would you go? And doing that outreach and then defraying those costs. So spreading the rent over 2 or 3 partners, sharing the staffing, sharing areas of expertise and background so that you can really leverage them for one another throughout this short time period. So essentially, having the mindset that you really will have to put the work in, that there's going to be an effort to still get people through the door, even though it's an exciting initiative, you have a short amount of time to get the word out. And then building the partnerships, looking to people that have overlapping spheres of influence, but not exactly the same, so that you can use each other's networks and support each other. Those are some of the common pitfalls, but also the opportunities that we see. I will say going into a new partnership, especially if you haven't worked with someone before, have the difficult conversations up front. Get an agreement in writing. What are your use restrictions, if any? Where are the shades of gray? Think about all of that ahead of time so that once you're in it and running the day to day, you don't have to be concerned about that because that's where people get hung up and feelings are hurt or time is wasted and no one has time for that.
No, not at all. And you could avoid so many pitfalls by just having those conversations up front and being really clear with everything. So, and that's such a good point. Like you said, don't expect just because you launch your pop up, you're going to have a flood of traffic. Like similar to when retailers will launch an e commerce store, you're not getting that flood of traffic. You do, if depending on where it's located, right? If you have that great foot traffic, awesome. But keep in mind of marketing and leveraging. Excellent tips, Allison. I'm loving this conversation. Do you want to minimize frustration that you may have when it comes to tracking purchasing orders or freight tracking? Or do you want to have it be even easier for you to get products to your customers when they request something and easier to manage and track that? Whether it's special orders, special requests from your customers, or do you want to make it even easier for you to manage your accounts payable, making sure that you're paying vendors and invoices on time? It's easy to find all of that. If you are answering yes to any of these things, then you're going to want to listen up because we have a brand new course that just launched that's going to teach you how to do all those and more, even help you run your store from anywhere in the world and allow you to help people to support your store that don't have to live within your town. They can be anywhere. All of this is covered in the brand new training course called Next Level Retail Asana Strategies to Boost Your Business Efficiency. This course was created by me and fellow retailer Beth Rich with Mix It Up, who has been on the show. And during that episode, she was talking about some of the ways she streamlined her store, saving her a ton of time, frustration, hassle using Asana. And I said, Beth, would you be willing to share more? Should we do a course? And we did it. And it's here. So you could get access to this. We're talking about tracking purchase orders, freight tracking, customer requests, special orders, accounts payable, vendors claim, how to keep you efficient, and maybe even run your store from a beach in Bali, which is Beth's dream. And she's on her way to that because of the things that she teaches in this course. You do not need technical experience to learn and go through this because we break it down. Beth actually shares her screen on how she does everything. You get to peek behind the curtain at a very successful retailer on how she's running the back end and the systems of her store. And she even teaches you kind of click by click where you need to click and how you could set this all up. So you could go to crystalmediaco.com/Asana. That's ASANA. crystalmediaco.com/Asana to learn more and get your course. Don't delay because this will save you so much frustration. You and your team, it will create efficiencies in your business. You will be streamlined, you will be happier, you will have more time and a more successful retailer. Beth and I know you're going to love this course. So head on over to crystalmediaco.com/Asana and get your course now. Can you give us some real life examples of pop-ups that you've seen where retailers have really seen a lot of sales from like maybe a new product launch or seasonal pop-ups? What are a couple real life examples?
Sure, absolutely. We had so many, but there's a couple that come to mind that can be really powerful for retailers. So there's one running company we've worked with called Pioneers. So it's a Black owned running apparel brand, really mission driven, community driven, does run clubs that are related back to the product. And their pop up strategy is to coincide with major marathon routes. So essentially, for the Boston Marathon, for example, they want it to be on Newbury Street, where it's a prime shopping street. It's not right on the marathon route, but there are so many people coming into town for the marathon, and it's right in the hub of the city. And for a month, the month of April during marathon, they take over a space for a pop up and program the hell out of it. They do everything they possibly can to get the word out.
Love it.
That month, they bring in panels, they host run clubs, they host the marathon runners and their families. They give so many reasons to come experience their product, their space, their community, their mission, their vision, all of these things. And they do that in such an impactful way in Boston, where they're based, that they've brought it around the country. So they've gone to Chicago, they've gone to New York, they've actually gone internationally to London.
Wow.
So they've taken this formula, refined it over the course of a couple of years and seasons, gotten feedback from their customer base, tracked how those customers are returning through online sales, if they're repeat customers, if they're building loyalty through these experiences. It's also opened other doors for them in terms of wholesale partnerships, but they get to be on the street with the big players, with Nike, with Adidas, with all of these year-round flagship retailers at the most important time for them. So it's been a really effective strategy that I've loved seeing.
Wow, so smart. I love it. Now, do they have a physical location, like a permanent location as well, or is that's
They
the
do
model?
not.
Okay.
They do not. They started as direct to consumer. They have started doing wholesale partnerships, although that wasn't the original model. And at this point in time, they don't have a permanent brick and mortar, but they do have a pretty busy pop up schedule. So it has gained a solid place in their strategy. We have some other partners. Another one that you may be familiar with is called Shit That I Knit. It's a hat company, direct to consumer. They make amazing knitwear products for women, hand knit, I believe it was Peru. And they have been doing pop-ups since the very beginning. So that was really a loyalty building strategy for them, for people to get excited and to meet them where they were. So whether they went to a ski mountain or to, a cute shopping area in New York City or in Boston, we helped them program a mobile tour. So there are these companies that do little tiny flexible spaces, 80 square feet or less, and you can move them from site to site. So whether that's a trailer or an Airstream or a little pop-up box, there are ways to bring them around where you are literally taking your brand, taking your retail vision and bringing it to where the people are. So whether it's a college campus or an apartment building or a public park, there are all these really unique ways to show up where your customer is, and people literally cannot ignore it. It is such an effective strategy when you see something that's unique and head turning. Shit That I Knit also is very creative. They had a giant inflatable hat attached to the trailer.
Oh,
They made the front page of the Boston Globe after that. They've just
wow.
are really brilliant with their PR and marketing plays, but the pop-up strategy has been a foundational part of building their brands.
That's awesome. I love that so much. I almost see too, you could give little hints if you're moving a lot, like, where are we? And come find us. And the first person, like a scavenger hunt. I love that kind of stuff. Because I am so new to this world, when they're setting up in maybe a park or college campus or something like that, do you have to get permits for that? How does that work?
Yes.
Okay.
So permitting can be a big challenge. I
Okay.
would highly recommend starting with a private property
Okay.
or a property where it's done frequently rather than the neighborhood park that you would like to be at, where perhaps you're setting a precedent. There needs to be an established path. It's living in the gray of what hasn't been done before, which I personally love, but is very time intensive. In terms of finding some place that hosts pop ups or brings in, even food trucks are a good parallel. If they host food trucks, there's often a good chance that they can host mobile retail. Or going to a private property owner where there's less chance that a permit will be required. are great places to begin and build a partnership.
Okay, awesome. That's a great tip. Allison, I'm loving these examples. I would love to hear more. So, what are some innovative ways retailers are using pop ups to create buzz, drive traffic, deepen the customer relationship? What else can they do? I'm sure there's so much, but give us a couple more things.
Sure. So let me think of a couple other types of categories or examples because I want anyone listening to come away with the mindset that a pop up is for them, that you don't have to be a big brand. You don't have to have a huge, deep list or social media following to do this. It really can be at many different stages of growth. All you have to have is sort of an online presence and something to build, invite people back to. But essentially, we see this in every sector. One that comes to mind is a bookshop who is doing little pop ups or collaborations, markets with breweries, just bringing a mix of inventory and hosting a group. And then was thinking about the next step and partnered with us through Project Pop Up actually to do a seasonal bookshop. So to open their first brick and mortar, to see what it's like to operate a space on a daily basis, to bring in the depth of inventory that this founder had always wanted, but didn't have a place to call home. And then to bring all of those relationships that she'd been developing through these various very short term pop ups and invite them into her space and to say, hey, we're hosting book club. Hey, we're hosting mom and me group. Hey, we're hosting a fundraiser, and just have that hub and get the real time feedback that she had been trying to collect. And it was amazing proof of concept. So the 3-month pop up extended to 6 months, and they're now relocating to an even better location, working with some new partners, really having that whole baby micro test
Yeah.
of the market without the long term lease commitment, and understanding what kind of numbers they can do, seeing what it's like to weather January as well as go through peak season. So
Right.
that's just one example. We've also seen juice bars, for example, one juice bar that took over a vacancy. And there are a lot of infrastructure costs for food and setting up shop in a space that doesn't have any infrastructure. Second generation or third generation restaurant or cafe or juice bar space is an awesome opportunity for someone who's just getting started. So we've seen that be a really nice foray into having a place to put your branding up, to get customers coming back again and again. This particular location that I'm thinking of is in Cambridge. So it's in an office campus. So a heavy daytime population, someone who can grab a juice and go back to their office, or also grab a cleanse and take it home. But just thinking about that location and approaching a landlord who is going through, this is actually a location that's going through construction. So thinking about where you could
Mm,
get rent that's a little bit less than full market value, who that might be backed by a larger corporation who wants to support independent businesses, but where there is still foot traffic. There are still people coming into the office. There are still people that live in the area, and they need something to rally around and be excited about.
yeah, that sounds like a perfect location for a juice bar. This is where in your town, or maybe even drive around in some surrounding, if this is really lighting you up by just thinking about it and listening to this, see what's available, what's out there, and look for those opportunities. I feel like there's so much, like in Northern Colorado where I am, there's so much construction, there's so much growth, there's so much change. And I just feel like I travel a lot. I see that a lot. I feel like there's so many opportunities. You just have to ask. I think that's the starting point, like identifying and ask. The worst thing that could happen is somebody says no. So, so smart.
That's so true. We coach a lot of people through that because there is this assumption that there's nothing in that space because they already have a plan for it or they wouldn't want to work with me. But the reality may be that the opportunity just hasn't yet presented itself.
Exactly. Okay. Do you have one more example for us, Allison?
So, one segment that we've seen have success multiple times is in the plant space. So, we have one particular retailer that went from concept to pop up very quickly and started with a depth of inventory around plants and related products, but very quickly found that there were all of these services related to the products that had so much add on value. And so they started developing an incredible model that's selling plants, helping people with their plants, and also providing services to corporations, workshops, residences, building a whole community around this concept and being the experts in that space where they could use their retail space as really a hub for all of this learning, for people discovering them, and then adding on and really building revenue. They've built substantial revenue channels through that.
Hmm.
We have another plant pop up right now that's taking a similar path and just getting so much traction. People are obsessed currently with thinking about their space and how they can bring life into it.
Mhm.
And what are these different wellness levers they can pull that might not be as traditional? And so there's definitely a lot of room for innovation in that world. And it's been a fun category to work on.
Oh, I feel like that's brilliant for plants because I mean, people, especially when you're in a new location, if it's high foot traffic, I mean, in different seasons, you want to know what's in season, what's growing now. I just need to bring something new to my house, my apartment. That's a brilliant opportunity and could be something that people add a category to what they're currently doing. What if you had some jewelry and plants or jewelry and flowers or something that could build off of that? That's fun.
Yes, great opportunity for a pop in too. If you're an existing retailer, you want to start hosting pop ins, plants could be just the perfect pop of freshness.
Yeah, I love that idea. So good. Okay, this is awesome. Allison, are you ready for the resilience round?
I'm ready.
Let's do it. Best business book.
Currently, I would say Creativity Inc. or Attraction.
Ooh, okay, good ones. Best retail technology, like an app or software.
It's not retail specific, but Asana. Our team
Mm,
relies heavily on Asana, and for project management and all the moving parts, it can be customized heavily.
Yep, I so agree. We love Asana. How do you keep up with the ever changing retail landscape?
I travel as much as I can, but I've got three little kids, so it doesn't happen as often as I would like. I read a lot of articles and I talk to a lot of people,
Mhm,
just ask a lot of
mhm.
questions.
Awesome. To help retailers be stronger, more rooted in success, what's a pop up best practice?
Start small, start somewhere, start right away. Don't wait for the perfect time because it does not exist.
So true. Great advice. If you had to start your business all over again, what's one thing you'd do differently?
I would build my community first. I would seek out my village. I would find fellow founders and entrepreneurs, accelerator programs, advisors. I would start talking to people a lot earlier than I did so that I would feel supported from day one.
Awesome. And what do you think the future of independent retail looks like?
I love this question. I think the future of independent retail is flexible, experiential, and community centric.
Well said. I so agree. That's beautiful. Allison, tell us about this course that you have if anybody is interested in learning more about pop ups and pop ins.
Sure. So we have a comprehensive masterclass called the Pop Up Playbook that was designed for anyone, anywhere that is interested in launching a pop up to have all of this information at their disposal. So we take you through everything from figuring out your why, what format and time frame you want, to scouting a space and bringing in partners and marketing and recapping the experience, all of that in a nutshell. We also have some crash courses where we teach people about pop-ins, hosting them in their own space, marketing foundations for retail, social media launch strategy, all of those things as they relate back to pop-ups. So
Awesome.
feel free to check it out.
Yeah. So, where should they go to learn more?
So you can find us online at poppingupnext.com and also the popupplaybook.com, which is our course hub. And you can follow us on social on Instagram at Popping Up Next or the Allison Yee.
Awesome. I love it. We'll link to all of this as well. Allison, thank you so much for being here and sharing your pop up and pop in wisdom. I learned a lot, that's for sure.
Thank you so much for having me, Crystal. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, awesome. Everyone, remember that I'm rooting for your success. Have a great week ahead. Bye. Thank you so much for being here. It means the world to me. Don't forget to join the Rise and Shine newsletter, which is social media news you need to know, sent via email every Monday morning. Go to crystalmediaco.com/rise to join. And don't miss the newest episode of Rooted in Retail, which drops every Sunday morning.